super stoked. Pretty big news for today. Really big news today. I think this will be a world's first. I love the Can-Am, but the one thing I hate about it is the noise it makes. Super annoying. 3-cylinder CVT, garbage. What sounds super good is a high revving engine, like a street bike engine. So this is a 2007 Suzuki GSXR 1300, also known as the Hayabusa. So I bought this engine actually 3 years ago now. This build I have had planned out for a long time. Unfortunately, I bought that engine and literally 2 weeks later, a tree crushed my shop. And when I say crushed it, I mean crushed it. Like, check out the pictures. It was a complete teardown. So needless to say, it got put on the back burner. Until now. So I managed to find a guy on Craigslist who had all of it. Story is, his buddy was actually texting and riding, ended up hitting a curb, and then the bike tagged a tree and totaled it. So he basically parted out the bike, his buddy did, and he ended up getting everything he needed to do a swap. He was going to do into I think it was a Mini Cooper, I think it was. He ended up changing his mind, and he ended up doing it was an Austin Healey. He ended up doing a Aprilia instead, I think, because they're both British. Anyway, so we have everything. We have everything from, the clutch, we have, kill switch and throttle. Probably not going to need the signals and stuff, but, whatever. Also have the ignition, the voltage regulator, complete wiring harness, gauge cluster, intake plenum, and the engine. So, as you can see, this thing still has a little bit of the tree debris. So, first thing will be first. I want to get this thing running. Plan is I'm just going to make a really hodgepodge, pretty janky engine stand. Basically, it is probably going to stay on that little rolling cart. And then I just want to make sure that it runs and stuff, and that nothing... Basically, I want to make sure nothing happened when that tree hit it. Because, it was kind of like right in the line of fire. So, once I know that thing works, then it's game on. Then the plan is, I am not going to be tearing my pride and joy apart. I'm actually going to be buying a second X3. So currently there are 2 X3s out there with a Hayabusa engine. One of them is a CVT drag car. There's probably a grand total of about 50 seconds worth of video on the internet that I've been able to find. Really cool car, but they did a CVT. Don't want to do that. The other one is don't know if you guys have ever seen rock bouncers, but it's a mini rock bouncer style buggy, and it is only rear wheel drive, but it does have a push pull sequential, which is super cool. So I want to do the world's first actual 4-wheel drive, properly swapped manual transmission, like Hayabusa X3. My plan was originally, before the before the Maverick R came out, like I said, I've had this engine now for 3 years. So my plan was to actually do a paddle shift, like 80-inch wide, 300 horsepower-ish X3. Still gonna do a turbo kit on the Hayabusa motor, and then eventually I want to do paddles, kind of like a Radical has, right, where it will like auto blip for downshifts and stuff. But yeah, so big plans. First things first though, I need to make a stand of some sort so I can get that thing started and I can make sure it runs. And after that, probably end up snatching up some kind of a turbo kit for it. Or we'll scour eBay and we will make a turbo kit for it. And then after that, we're gonna go shopping for an X3. So already been kind of scouring Facebook Marketplace. I've already found a few. Mainly gonna be looking for something, probably something that is crashed in some way. But still not sure, because if I had a second one that had like a complete nice engine, then I'd have a spare for the race car. But we'll see. So like I said, first things first, we got to get this thing running. And I hope that basically all I need to do is just pick up a fuel pump. Yeah, I have a manual coming for it. But like I said, this is definitely going to be a world's first. If you guys know somebody else that has done it, please have them contact me or comment down below so I can get in touch with them. Because I do have one very big question that I have not been able to figure out for the better part of a couple years. How do you connect the output shaft on the Hayabusa engine to the input shaft on the X3 transmission / rear diff? It depends on what you want to call it. But basically, where that secondary clutch goes onto, how am I connecting those? A chain does not work. A chain ends up overheating even if you use the large, what is it, the 600 series chain, like they use on the Hayabusa sand rails. They end up overheating and they melt the O-rings out of them, so I'm not doing that. Because this thing, well, this thing that's going to be in one of those things eventually. Anyway, I want to use it for everything. I want to do autocross with it. I want to do open road racing with it. I want to do rally with it. I want to do adventure rides with it. I want to do everything with this new engine X3 setup thing. It's not going to really be legal in any class. Don't really care. I want to go have fun. Exhibition class. Black flag me right away. Still going to be there just to have fun. So that's what it's all about. All right. Enough BSing. I'm going to start figuring out how to make a, whatchamacallit to start this thing up. Let's go. One thing I should clarify. So, what will make this, in my opinion, a world's first is the fact that this will retain four-wheel drive and use an actual, selectable transmission, right? Like, whether it be paddle shift, sequential, whatever, it will use the transmission in the Hayabusa with discrete gears and not be a CVT. So to me, those other two buggies, yes, they did put a Hayabusa motor in it. One of them just basically used the chassis of an X3 and just made it basically a chain driven sand rail and stuff, which is still a hell of a lot cooler than my Hayabusa X3 so far. But to me, that's not totally doing it because it doesn't have four-wheel drive still, and I want four-wheel drive for snow and mud. And then the other one, that it does have four-wheel drive, however, it's a CVT, and to me, the whole purpose of using a street bike engine is to have gears. He has the awesome cool sound, but it doesn't have gears. So it does have a turbo Busa, still better than my non-existent turbo Busa, but for now, but this one will be better in the end. So just wanted to clarify that real quick. Okay, back to the video. Now that we have the engine mounted on its little makeshift stand, next step is going to be to play the shapes game and match up all these connectors on the wiring harness to everything on the engine. After that, I'll be able to stick the plenum on, and then we'll figure out how we want to drape the wires and hang the wires and all that stuff, so that hopefully nothing shorts out or gets caught when we try to start this. So I made a little bit more progress here on the Busa motor. So got the wiring harness all laid out and stuff like that, so I could see what sensors I needed and everything. So got the new intake air temp sensor, map sensor, and actually the Hayabusa has a boost sensor on it, because from the factory basically it relies on the ram air effect. So anyway, so got all that stuff ordered. Gonna do an oil change on it today. So got oil and filter for it. Actually have stuff to put together a fuel system for it, but we're not going to do that today. Today's mission basically is to just get the oil changed in it and actually do a compression and a leak down test. Basically, you just want to make sure that she has a clean bill of health and everything else before we start throwing a bunch of time and money to make it a lot more fun. So got fresh oil, fresh battery, big battery, car battery, and I think now I finally have everything plugged in. So I got the computer plugged in right there on the back side. Have the nice new battery terminals, Never Loose, that's the brand name of those. So also plugged in the gauge cluster because I wasn't sure if that was mission critical or not. Have our clutch switch bypassed, you know, nice cotter pin. Also, our kickstand, I don't want to move it. Our kickstand sensor is also bypassed. Like I said, I have a hardwired one of those, like actually coming, because in case this all goes south, my plan is, I shouldn't say that. My plan is basically to sell this harness and make like a nice harness for it. When I go to sell this harness, I'd like it to be complete. That way you can actually get money for it. So let's see if this thing will make noise. The only thing I'm not sure about is I do not have the tip over sensor plugged in, but I think the easiest way to bypass it is to just unplug it. So I'm gonna set you guys down. Let's see if once I connect up this positive terminal, we can get it to crank over at all. I'll just hold this battery terminal for right now. Okay, so got gauges waking up. No, we don't. Now we have gauges. Okay. Oh, I lied before. This apparently has 8,630 miles on it. I was wrong. All right. Moment of truth. Here we go. That was rather anticlimactic. Oh. Maybe if you turn the kill switch off. Oh yeah! This is gonna happen. Oh man. Well, alright. Now, we can go do a compression test. It kind of sounds like all of them, you know, are fairly even and stuff. It doesn't sound like it has a dead hole in it, which is super good. I mean, it is a street bike motor. People do abuse the holy crap out of them, but at the same time, they can take a crazy amount of abuse. So, should be okay. So, compression test though will tell us. From what I read on the forum, should be 175 across the board. All right, got some good news, got some bad news. Just got done with the compression test. First thing, bad news. Service manual, lies. Basically, I followed the compression test the first time, and it failed miserably. Reason being, it doesn't tell you to hold the throttle wide open. So, which, at least every compression test I've ever done, you always hold it wide open. That way you can get enough air. That was not written anywhere in the manual, so I tried it their way. Failed horribly. So, did it my way, I guess, you know, and held the throttles wide open. You know, just wedged some pliers in there, and it passed. I mean, passed well enough for us. So with the charger on there, well, I'd have a high of like 165 and a low of 131 psi. So 165, 131, 140, 155. Technically the spread on those, normally you try to have it be, you know, less than 10%. Obviously those are way more than 10%. Service manual says 29 psi of, you know, variation, and we're like at 34 psi. But for what we're doing and the kind of screwing around we're gonna do, it'll be just fine, because eventually, once we put a turbo on this thing, we'll just add more boost. It'll be fine. So now that we know that thing cranks over and has spark, next thing we need to do is we got to get fuel to it. So since this is going to get boosted, went ahead and just ordered a fuel pump, several fittings and stuff like that, so we can like hook up to the stock fuel rail, and a fuel regulator that should basically support about 550 horsepower. We're not going to make that much with that thing, but whenever you're building something, it's always good to overbuild it, because then you have a safety margin, you know. Then who knows, turbo plus nitrous, I don't know. Like, I got several nitrous kits kicking around in this place, so why not? But first things first, we got to get it started, actually, and then we actually have to, like, you know, put it in something. But we're gonna get there. So gonna get this fuel system all done. Underneath here there's a bunch of dash 6 AN line and stuff like that, so I'm hoping we can just connect right up to the stock fuel rail. You know, gonna get rid of the stock fuel hose and stuff, but connect right up to the stock fuel rail. That would be super nice and handy. That way, for at least now, we can just use the stock fuel system. Like I said, this is all just, I just want to get this thing running and get it working as it is, you know, and then we can go hunting for another Can-Am. That's the biggest thing. So I'd be super stoked if sometime within the next 30 to 60 days we could come across like a reasonable deal on another X3. I'm not going to go out and go buy a new one or anything like that, or go buy something super nice just to cut it apart, chop it up, and tear it down. You know, try to find something that's a reasonable deal, something made with a blown motor or something like that. So we'll see. Who knows? We'll see what's out there. But I'm going to get this thing installed, and we're going to get going. Well, I'm not really sure if I just created a really elaborate, complex, you know, bomb, or if this is actually going to work. So a little bit nervous. Got my fuel return line running into that can, right? Fuel pump. This is like the actual, you know, gas can in it. Fuel regulator right there, you know, runs over there to the fuel rail. All the electronics are right there, so hopefully there's no spark. I'm just gonna run some jumper leads to the fuel pump. Then, just in case things get interesting, 1 fire extinguisher, 2 fire extinguishers, garden hose. I'm hoping, if I'm like way prepared and borderline paranoid, it's gonna be fine. Murphy's Law. But if you're not prepared at all, Murphy's Law says you're screwed. So, yeah. This is either gonna work awesome or it's gonna catch on fire. One of the two. So let's find out. What? That fuel pump is gonna push like 90 psi. So we need to turn the regulator down. This is actually a boost referencing regulator, but we need to turn it down though, so it's like what, 43 to 45 psi. Okay, got the regulator, I think, set. Numbers on it are super hard to read, but fuel pump running it. I think that's like 44 psi. I'm not really sure. We don't appear to have any leaks, so moment of truth. Here we go. That should be enough. Okay, right. I put that coil back in. Yeah. Fuel. Oh, there's a choke on this. I totally forgot about that. It works! It totally works! How do you choke it? How the hell does the choke work on this thing?
Didn't you just do it?
What?
Didn't you just do the choke?
No. I gave it a bunch of ether. May have had a minor issue, so when they test fuel pumps, they pump diesel through them. I did not pump the diesel out. I just connected it right up. So it's been trying to start on diesel now for a little bit. I don't need to tell you how good that is for injectors, but anyway, got the diesel flushed out of the system. So hopefully it still works. The injectors probably have a decent bit of life shaved off of them, but that's all right. Once we do a turbo kit, those injectors will go in the garbage and new injectors will be coming along. So this only has to work for a little while. All right. Take 43. All right. This is gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna freaking work. I know it. I can feel it. It's gonna work in gear. It's gonna come rolling up right away. I don't know. Okay, that's on. Right. Ignition. Put these on. Right. I don't need that anymore because we got that connector. Did I? Yeah. Tighten that back up. All right. Come on.
You need to do starter fluid.
Probably. That'll work. That's enough. There we go. Okay. All right. Got 2 bad injectors, not even working at all. 2 frozen injectors, and 2 reasonable injectors. See if it fires up at all. Okay. Got fuel. All right. All right, F1, and we have clock. Here we go. That's the closest it's ever been. Dude.
Oh, I got scared for that. I didn't know if it was on there.
No shit. Doesn't sound terrible. Oh, yeah. Dude, it works! Holy
I
shit!
don't understand though.
Alright. Hell yeah.
I expected it to sound like it was like it would miss super hard with 2 injectors not firing. It didn't sound